This is the roundtable for Monday, day 2 of the Weiner Wellness Week, number 99. Len Brancovitz is here. Dr. Len, live from Tampa.
I think I've
We
been
don't
here.
have, stinking hurricanes.
I think I've been here for all 99. I think.
I think so. Yeah, you're one of those. We're right here with you, Len. How's the weather down there?
Today it's sunny and mild.
Oh, that's what we want to hear.
To start tomorrow. We're bullseye right here. It's supposed to come in Tarpon Springs. So.
Oh boy.
Hatches for tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on that. Hope you stay safe. In the meantime, today's roundtable, folks, this is a good one because, as I told you earlier this morning, you can have studies from every group in the world, double-blind, placebo-controlled, but the ones that really count are the patient studies. The ones that really count are the real studies that show you real people getting real results. And nobody racks them up like our buddy, Dr. Len Brancowitz. Dr. Len, good morning.
Good morning, sir. It's great to see you, Joe. Great to see you.
You too, buddy. Always.
Hey, I got some really good stuff today. I think and Jamie knows, I do a lot of research, and every morning I get a download of new research pieces. It's a dump that comes every morning. And when I was going to do a couple of the different case studies today, the one that I wanted to start out with was a 17-year-old girl. I'll just give you to this much. Just left home after high school and is a freshman at a university, in a way, living in the dorms, and signed up for advanced courses, doing cheerleading, doing a lot of different things. And over the course of the first month to month and a half in school, developed what her parents thought was major depression. Missed home. I think we all go through that. We missed home. So I've been working with her for the last 2 months, basically, to try to get some stabilization of that. And one of the things that is also common, and I wanted to start out with this because, I can give you studies after studies after studies. First study came up September 19th, just a little over a week ago, that said 1 in 10 in the United States reports having depression. 1 in 6 adolescents. 1 in 6 are clinically depressed. 1 in 4 females over the age of 40. So when we look at this and say, what is going on? The common thread has been, up to this point, and this is where I really want to start at, because I want to tell you what I did with this young lady, is it's serotonin. The journals of psychiatry for the last 40 years have said low serotonin means depression. So we're going to give you a medication. Put you on Lexapro, Zoloft, Prozac, one of those. And that's been the standard of care. And this family, this is the daughter of one of the girls that worked for me, did not want her medicated, did not want her. She was going for counseling, which was good. And they immediately wanted to put her on an antidepressant and something for what they called ADD, which is very typical the first year in school. So in the meantime, a study came out this morning. And I just want I want all the listeners to listen up, please. After decades of studies, there remains no clear evidence that serotonin levels or serotonin activity are responsible for depression, according to a major review of prior research led by the University of College London. This is in a journal I know that you get, Joe, all the time. You got it in your bathrooms down there, I think, the Journal of Molecular Psychiatry. And it just goes on to say it's very difficult to understand this because the popularity of this chemical imbalance theory, depression, has resulted in 1 out of 6 adolescents being prescribed medication, 1 out of 4 females over the age of 40. Standard of care. This article basically says, I'm sorry, but after all these decades, we have found we are over-prescribing antidepressants. We are over-prescribing antidepressants. I'll say it a third time. We are over-prescribing antidepressants. It's now in the top 3 most used medications.
And
So
probably the next epidemic, right, on our hands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So starting out with this, and I understand, I've got a 17-year-old that's dealing with a lot of different things, very well-rounded, straight A student, et cetera, et cetera. So I read this article. This is on the heels of having to work with her for 2 months, understanding that we did do neurotransmitter testing. And when we do neurotransmitter testing, we are using urine DNA. Okay. This article, University of College London, used blood. And I have seen nowhere in any of the literature that serotonin levels appear in the blood. So I'm saying that this article is probably flawed to start out with. But here's what we did. The first thing that we did, I had a discussion with her about her gut health. Of course, coming from the gut guy. How's your stomach? Are you eating at home? Are you eating in the dorms? Are you eating out? And we went through the point where she was eating out almost every meal. We started having her make things. She had a little kitchenette in her place. So we started having her do breakfast and dinner, cleaned up her diet, started her on GI Complete. First thing, shaker, GI Complete. Shaker, GI Complete. The second thing that we did, at simultaneous with this, is that we put the GI Complete into Power Cleanse. We made her, and I stressed with her, you need to be part of the Shake a Day Club. Cook your breakfast, have the shake with this. Now, here's the reason why. At the very end of this article comes a very interesting concept where they actually went into this, and I want our listeners to please listen to this. The authors looked at all these studies. Here's how they proved this. This is how they proved it to themselves. They artificially lowered serotonin levels in individuals by, and I'm going to quote right here from the article, depriving their diets of the amino acids required to make serotonin.
Wow.
We took it away.
Simple as that.
Amino acid. So if, and said, let's put GI Complete and a mixture like how, and I feel so better.
Wait, hey, Len, we're starting. Can you hear me? Because you're getting chopped up again. You're getting chopped up. Yeah.
So we went to a line called control. I really do. And in this case, we're having connection.
Yeah, we're having trouble hearing you, Len. You're freezing up. Yeah, you're freezing and chopping up on us. The last couple of the last minute has been real hard to hear you. So maybe we should try again. Just click off and rejoin. Same link. Just click off and rejoin. I don't know about these technical difficulties. We're trying to broadcast live. No, not yet. We can't hear you, Len. Is your mic on? Are you unmuted? We still can't. Or try. Let's try your mic, Len. No, we can't hear you. Again? Oh, you have to leave the whole Zoom, Len, and then click on it again. X out, completely X out. There we go. Okay, Len, let's try it now. No. Gee. Boy. Anything? No, we're not getting anything, Len. Can he hear me? Okay. Completely froze. Yeah. Oh, what are we gonna do here? Should. Oh boy. Well, okay, so something's wrong with the connection there, Len. I don't know if you can hear me or not. No, it's bad. Started off okay. Technical difficulties. Yeah. Ah, crap. Can you hear me, Len? No, he can't. He must not be able to hear me. No, he can't hear. Uh, without video or. Hey, Len, try using the same link on your phone. So I have to tell him on here. Yeah, he just said, "Can I call in?" Yes, 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 yes. Call in. What number? Oh, hey, use the same link, Len, but use it on your phone. Okay. Maybe we're on. Maybe we made it.
That.
There we go. That's
Now
real
we got
good.
it.
Now we're cooking with gas. Okay. So
Let's give this a shot again.
let's get start over because our
Let's
1
start.
o'clock one is just demos with shakes, so we can start over right now from the very beginning. Here we go. Take two.
Take two.
Take two. I'm Joe Messino. I'm back here with the gut guy, Dr. Len Brancewitz, and we are talking case studies. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back. We're on. Let's pick it up from the top on that study, Dr. Len.
Yeah, let's go into this, Joe. For decades, it's been said that serotonin is the main reason that so many individuals have depression. We have lower levels of serotonin. We run into difficulties. I want to tell you a little bit about a 17-year-old girl that went away to college for her first year, just graduated high school, straight A's, going away to college for the first time, and is staying in a dorm all by herself. Naturally, stressful situation. Well, she's there a couple weeks, granted, probably missing home, missing, the first 17 or 18 years of her life being there, and getting anxious and depressed. Now, granted, she was taking a lot of really advanced courses, a lot of different issues that were potentially causing these kind of problems. So we sat down and chatted because her parents were strongly against her being put on a medication. She went for counseling at school, and the first thing they said was, "You're depressed, we're going to put you on an antidepressant." Well, to summarize this and say, we did neurotransmitter testing with her, where we isolate from urine the DNA so that we get a rough idea what her neurotransmitter status was, and her serotonin was okay. So when you see that, but there was a lot of other contributing factors that may have been at play here. So we decided at this juncture to start questioning her about her gut health. So I asked her, I said, "Are we having any stomach issues, any kind of problems?" And she said this: "I'm getting a lot of bloating and gas after all the meals. I don't know if it's the dorm food or I'm not cooking correctly or whatever." So we worked on cleaning up her diet and said, "Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put you on GI Complete." I explained to her thoroughly what this was for. And I said, "We are going to try to re-enhance the brain-gut link." Okay? That says if the brain is having difficulties with depression and anxiety, that can lead to gut problems. If we have gut problems, that can lead to lower levels of neurotransmitters, and we run into problems. So we said, let's start out there. Now, simultaneously, what we did is we took that wonderful prep that I just love called Power Cleanse, and we said, let's start her on Power Cleanse and make her a member of the Shake a Day Club. Put the GI Complete into the Power Cleanse, blend it up. We had her make herself a breakfast every morning and have a shake a day. Now, here's the cool thing, is that a study came out just this morning that came out of London that basically says this: serotonin had nothing to do with depression. Now, that's been the gold standard in the field of psychiatry like forever. This journal came out called Molecular Psychiatry that said we are over prescribing these medications. Now, the family as well as her did not want to be put on a medication. So what we did, we started out with phase 1, which took about 4 weeks, GI Complete, once a day, inside of Power Cleanse. At the end of 30 days, we called and said, "Well, how are you feeling? Has anything resolved?" And she said this. She said, "I'm feeling 60 to 70% better. However, I'm now having a difficult time sleeping. I was having sleep difficulties. It seems like that was now exposed." So in phase 2 of this, we continued on the GI Complete and the Power Cleanse. We layered in sleep time, 1 or 2 capsules at bedtime.
Okay.
Simultaneously, we added Calm Day because we wanted to see if we could raise GABA levels, which were low when we did her neurotransmitter testing. We added Calm Day 1 in the morning before any stressful type days, and then we added 1 early in the evening. Let that sit and let that brew for a little while. 2 weeks into this, she was feeling about 70 to 80% better. There were still some periods of anxiety that took place when there was a test, where she was also a cheerleader. So we looked at that prep that we have. It's not mentioned all that often, called Control.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because it's a precursor to serotonin. It's a balancing act. It's got theanine in it. It's a wonderful prep to be used at what I like to call, from my pharmacy days, a PRN or as needed basis. So just recently we started her on that. We said, if you feel anxious when you get up, feel anxious during the day, it's the day of a test. What we're going to do is add a control. You can do 1 to 4 capsules a day and see where we are. I talked to her on Saturday. She's 97% better.
Oof.
So we've gone from almost ready to drop out of school, almost ready to drop out of school and go home, with your tail between your legs, saying, I just can't stand to be away. We understood all the situations. The parents wanted her to stay. She's now fully comfortable. This morning, she sent me a video that this past weekend on Saturday at the college where she was going, they had a parade, and she was leading the parade and the cheerleaders. And if I could see the smile on her face, I'm going to go look at it again, because you're seeing a young lady that went from gray, ashen, always frowning, to bright and vibrant and leading the parade as far as the cheerleaders go. To me, that's worth the price of admission. So
it is. It's priceless. That's priceless. I mean, that's just, and this is something, Len, college kids, even high school kids today, I mean, this whole issue of serotonin with them and sleepless nights, everything gets compounded. First, if they don't sleep, their body doesn't repair. We know that. It doesn't regenerate. You don't make hormones. You can't activate that memory switch in your brain. So if you're pulling an all-nighter and you're staying up and studying, you might get through the test. You're not going to retain any of that information because you need a REM sleep to activate memory. So the lifestyle just complicates it. So, and like you said earlier, that the standard of care is to prescribe an antidepressant. Well, that's only going to make matters worse, and that's going to take the issue and compound it.
Well, and the side effect profile of all these SSRIs have been known for decades. What they can do, especially in somebody that's been documented to be under the age of 18, there seems to be this magic number that if I'm on Lexapro, Prozac, etc., under the age of 18, there was this high risk factor, and I don't want to scare people with this, but the high risk factor of suicide. They don't quite know why, but there was this issue that when the parents went to pick up the prescription, they needed to sign a document saying, I'm going to take full control of my child under the age of 18 because we're going to put her on this medication, and we understand that there is a risk factor here, and we got to be very cognizant of that. So if you can do this on a natural front, why not do that? It makes perfectly good sense.
And now, Len, Dr. Valerie Donaldson.
Absolutely.
And she's right. And she's another Pittsburgher. And, she's been saying to me for years that, the benzos are the ones that are really messing these people up, especially young adults. And that's where, and she had said, this is going to be our next opioid crisis because they're being prescribed like candy.
Yeah, there seems to be this, that's a really good point, Joe, is Xanax in particular is being passed out because psychiatrists seem to feel that there's no big deal there. But the addictive potential of Xanax is dramatic. And I think there's a lot of it showing up coming through the border down south also. We're seeing Xanax come across the border in a generic form and just flooding the streets. So these kids can get it down at the corner. We have to be cognizant that this is not the way to cut these kind of anxiety issues. I'm going to go back to that prep called Control. If I would have put a title on that prep, could I call it a natural Xanax?
Sure can.
But I don't want to make a claim, but I'm going to say there's such a use for a prep like that could say, maybe today I don't need it. It's a weekend. I don't need anything. But, Monday morning, sometimes those Sunday night deals where I just don't feel like going back to school, and it can make it really a big deal to cut that edge. So that prep called Control is a wonderful, wonderful prep.
So Len, let me ask you this then. We have Control from Nutritional Frontiers. We have Calm Day. When would you use one over the other?
That's a great question. What I would do, I think Calm Day, because it's restoring natural levels in the body, should be used on a regular ongoing basis. One in the morning, one in the evening. That should be the foundation that you build off of. Having a prep like control for those overwhelming periods, something that came up, a phone call, a test, visitors are coming, I had an argument with my boyfriend or girlfriend, one of those things.
Yeah.
You know, you know what? It's a non-addictive way to just cut that edge. Take one, take two, maybe down the road, and be able to cut that edge so that you can do your processing correctly.
Right. You know, then the other thing also I think that we have to address, and this is probably as an ancillary issue, is that, you know, all the studying these college kids are doing these days are coming from flat screen somethings. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a laptop, a tablet, iPad, a phone, it doesn't matter. And the blue light issue is complicating this as well. And I wonder how many of them are taking precautions to reduce the amount of blue light that is just making everything worse. You know, we have that formula also called 2020 that has Ludamax in it. That is the patented research trademark ingredient that was used in the study for blue light and showed tremendous improvement on that. So, I mean, you know, everything they do is complicating the matter, right?
Well, if you look at a generation, you look at that, let's say the 15 to 25-year-olds, how they actually live on their cell phones. I mean, our generation, Joe, you know, we still have a struggle with it at times. We use them. They've really revolutionized our lives. But these kids are living on that. It's a communication thing. Just, you know, I hate to say it. You know, you sound like an old guy. You know, you go to the restaurant and everybody's sitting there on their phone. They're not communicating anymore. Well, you know, when you live on this, and I want to go back because you just made a really good point. The girl I'm just talking about, when I had a discussion with her that her parents did not have the discussion on, I asked her, I said, how late in the evening are you on your phone? Right. Well, we go to bed about 11:30 after we study, do our homework, but where's the phone? Comes to bed with me.
Sure.
Then I'll wind down by spending an hour and a half in communication. That way now it's 12:30. Then maybe I'll put it down, but then I hear a beep at 2 o'clock in the morning and I get back up and I answer a text message. And we interrupt our sleep patterns. You know, I like to use that concept. Even I do this, and I get criticized sometimes for it. I will dock my phone a floor away from where I am. Now, granted, is there an emergency they need to get a hold of me? Perhaps. But I don't want that thing as an extension of my right arm. You know, I'll use it. I can appreciate it, but I don't want to live on it.
Right.
You ready for case study number 2?
Yes. Case study number 2. Fire away.
Case study number 2. This is an interesting one. It's a 21-year-old young man who dropped out of school, and the parents suspected excessive use of marijuana and alcohol. And it got to the point of being a major addiction. He did not want to go for assistance. He didn't want to go for help. So one of the first things that we understand when we are going to try to help somebody like this is that I cannot, as a practitioner, come in and say, look, and wave my finger at you saying, you need to stop the weed, you need to stop whatever, the alcohol. You know, we can have a discussion, we can understand and come to that recognition like AA does. Yeah, I've got a problem here, but I can't give that up. There's a void in my system. So when you look at addictions, and this is for anybody that's helping somebody or dealing with somebody, our church has an addiction hotline. There's so many of these problems getting on anymore. The fentanyl crisis, all these different things happening. Cortisol, the hormone that comes out of your adrenal glands, and excessively high or excessively low levels of cortisol are typically behind addiction. So when we realize that and we look at a study that has found initially low levels of cortisol really exaggerating the addiction problem, low levels. What's that indicative of? Well, if we understand where cortisol comes from a communication from the brain through the gut to the adrenal glands. So again, layering in because of the use of whatever these people are on, alcohol, drugs, etc., doing the GI support, GI complete, making sure that the gut can handle anything that's coming that way. And then looking at the adrenal glands that get hammered over the course of life, which tends to lead to these addiction problems. So once again, with this particular fella, we went with that prep called Adrenamax, which I absolutely love. It's an adaptogen that has an adrenal extract in it for supporting adrenal functionality. I started out with 2 capsules in the morning and 2 capsules in the evening. Now, it's a cool prep because being an adaptogen, you think, well, if I take that in the evening, it's going to interfere with my sleep. But I found just the opposite. If we used it in the morning and used it in the evening properly around the same time, and we stuck to a 8 and 8, 9 and 9, something like that, where it's the same time about 12 hours apart, it really made a big difference. Now, this is where I really found that prep called Control really came in. So I used a combination of Calm Day and Control, 2 capsules of each in the morning, Control at lunchtime, Control at dinner time, Control before bed, and then putting in some Calm Day in the evening as well. Now, we
That's
are
an
right now
protocol.
6 weeks into this, Joe, and he's telling me that one of his 2, he hasn't told me which one of his 2 addictions have gone by the wayside. And he's now getting counseling for this, and we're going to continue this protocol for another month, 2 months, 3 months, until we get well beyond really what this problem is and try to get him to the point where he's beyond these addictions.
So this is powerful. Now, I want to make a couple of points here because we have, the super brain here, Dr. Len. He says prep, folks. He means formulation, but that's coming back from his decades of experience as a pharmacist. And those decades also give him this type of a physiochemical breakdown of knowledge that allows him to make these types of protocols on a natural basis. So what we have with Dr. Len, and he's an integral part of the formulations and the things and all of the education we do here at Nutritional Frontiers and in the world of wellness, we have someone that understands biochemical activity, response, combinations. So when he tells you about these preps, it's coming from that type of a viewpoint. So I want to make sure everybody understands that, Len.
Yeah, and that was good, Joe. I appreciate that. And once again, the one thing that I have to say, the reason that I've become so favorable of everything that Nutritional Frontiers does, in my 38 years of having my own office and doing nutritional counseling, I've been exposed to, it had to be 30 or 40 different companies over the years. But when I've had so many people say, the real value of you and as an instructor, you need to be in front of groups teaching people. And that's really what my passion has been. I do a daily podcast. I see you respond to some of those. And I just love the teaching end of this thing. And the one thing that I will tell you about Nutritional Frontiers is if you're in a predicament right now, they can direct you to a practitioner that can be assistance. So if you're having difficulties in something that we're talking about, call the office and talk to somebody. It's like that hotline that says, if you don't know where or who to turn to, they can put you in touch with somebody that's familiar with the products, familiar with the protocols, and can even communicate with me. There's a lot of me in the background that can be of assistance for very difficult cases.
Well, not only that, when Dr. Len says teaching, and he should be and he does teach, and he should be. He teaches for us, and he teaches our practitioners. That's where Dr. Len needs to be, because these are the guys, the professionals that we can then recommend our patients that inquire, who do I go to? Where can I go? Anywhere up and down the East Coast of this country. These are the professionals that are being educated by experts like Dr. Len. So we're taking it, to the masses, and we're taking it to the professionals as well. So what do you got next?
The next one I want to talk to is dealing with COVID. Now, I was like, I don't want to go back there. But I really want to talk about that immune kit. I really want to talk about the immune kit. Folks, if you don't know what that is, you need to go to the Nutritional Frontiers website and look at it. All the work's been done of putting together the products that are necessary to fend off everything from the common flu to COVID. Now, I don't like to be one of those that are pro or anti-vaccine. I don't walk down that path. I understand why some people went for the vaccines. I also understand why some people want to stay far, far away. There's the immune kit. Joe is holding it up right now. This is one of the most important tools that you can have. Now, when we talked about COVID, and again, I don't want to be one of these, there's a conspiracy involved here. But, when we talked about COVID, we said, this is something that came out of China. Came out of China. They love to say it came out of a bat or whatever. Well, it seems like, according to the guy that calls himself the president, now says the pandemic is over. Well, do we just drop our guard and say, well, wait a minute. Now, if you look at the world stage and you look at what's going on and you see that there's a war going on in Ukraine, and you see that over the weekend you heard that Ukraine is starting to win the war and Russia is running backwards. So guess what comes out of the news this morning? A newly discovered COVID-like virus that has been released out of Russia. Recently discovered virus in Russia bat, similar to SARS coronavirus, the virus behind COVID-19 is likely capable of infecting humans, and it is resistant to all the current vaccines. Now, I don't want to say that this is a bunch of hogwash, because every time we've gone into this bat concept, I think it's a bunch of nonsense. But there's something new on the horizon. This is going to be happening over and over and over again. If you are really struggling and you really want to defend yourself, you have to have something on hand that is going to be available to you at the first sign or symptom of cough, sore throat, whatever. It can save your life. So when you look at, well, what do I buy? And I can't tell you how many people ran to the Walgreens and bought a big jug of zinc. And they started ODing on zinc. Well, you know what? The immune kit has been put together in such a way that all of the preps that are necessary to protect you and every family member are right there. Okay, so this is, again, I'm calling it a blatant push of a product because, yes, it is. This, to me, is one of the most important tools that you can have. It's available to you. It's all in a kit. It's got the directions. It's got everything in there. If this thing is coming from Russia, you heard it here first. If it doesn't, you still need to defend yourself against any potential for the flu, COVID phase 4, whatever you want to call it, but have yourself prepared.
Okay, so beautiful. And let me say this. Flu season's been around since as long as we can remember, right? Cold and flu season. Viruses have been around, all of the flus. And every year, the new flu shot has to come out because, new strains. The coronavirus family changes all the time. The common cold, up to and including any variation of this thing that shall not be named. I will not ever utter that word again, Len. I am giving it no energy. Okay, It's like Voldemort to me. Okay, but, cold and flu season, that in and of itself is a problem because people wait for cold and flu season to boost their immune system. Your immune system works all year round. You should not wait for what I also call D3D season, D3 deficiency season. So if you're waiting until you get something, it's too late.
Amen to that. Are you having connection problems again?
No. I don't
Okay,
think so.
good.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I think we have time for at least one more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to talk to you about this. This was a 77-year-old man that came to me. His wife actually brought him in because she saw him shuffling his feet. The doctor said he's pre-Parkinson's and pre-Alzheimer's. Well, what can we do? Now, luckily, I fell back on a presentation that Tracy did back when we had the Pittsburgh seminar about a month and a half to 6 weeks ago, called leaky brain syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a little more investigation. She did a wonderful presentation that day about how the blood-brain barrier can be breached and how this can lead to neurological problems like Parkinson's or even Alzheimer's. So I started out, and this is a bit of a complicated case, but this was a fella, he was a Vietnam vet, really wanted to do whatever he can so that he wouldn't have these kind of problems. So again, being the gut guy, we started out with GI Complete, and I did it morning and evening. Now I mixed that with Power Cleanse, morning and evening. This sounds like a lot. We added the greens into it morning and evening to build glutathione levels. We did that. That's a lot. We did that for 30 days. After 30 days, we cut it back to once a day, and we added the purples. We kept it in place, GI Complete, Power Cleanse, greens, and then we mixed in the purples as a separate one. We followed that for the next 90 days. During the course of that 90 days, at the end of that, we layered in the chewable CoQ10, which there was a wonderful video that was shared with us back about the success of using high-dose CoQ10 in Parkinson's patients. Right. This fellow right now is back at age 77, working full-time, doing construction with his son, outdoors, not shuffling his feet anymore, and has complete use of his brain again. He's doing unbelievably well. He's back to almost complete normality, and his wife even said that he volunteered to sing in the choir at church. So when you look at this and say, is it possible to fend off something as serious as Alzheimer's, which is slowly creeping up as one of the leading causes of death in this country? Can you fend something like that off by ensuring that the brain protection that it has in place, very similar to the gut lining, the brain lining, if it gets breached, or let me just say this, if you have irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, leaky gut syndrome, and you've been diagnosed with that, you probably also have leaky brain syndrome. Let me just say that. So if you go in with the same entity that we're going to take care of the gut with, which is GI Complete, that prep alone can also help enhance brain functionality because the brain-gut link is intimately involved. Add in the purples to get those flavonoids that are so important for brain connectivity. You throw those in on top of this, you start seeing amazing things happen with leaky brain syndrome and getting the brain back in line.
That's such a great protocol. And I'm going to make a comment on that because the purples, as you mentioned, has just been reformulated to add in all of these brain nutrients on top of the great flavonoids and deep colored fruits and vegetables that are in there. But you have alpha GPC, vinpocetine, you have L-carnosine. Yeah, I mean, these are nutrients that have been often sold as a standalone nutrient for years. They're all in the purples. But when you said, this sounds like a lot, here's the difference. The Power Cleanse, the greens, and the GI Complete are all powders.
That's right.
And they can go in one shake, or as you would say, one prep in the morning and in the night. It's not a lot. It's one shake.
And it tastes good. And it does. Now, absolutely. I think we have time for one more. We got time for one more?
You got the floor.
If I was going to say, this is my wife, but she would kill me if I did that, so I can't say this is my wife. But we have a 60-plus-year-old who's had numerous back surgeries that went in for lower back surgery, that microsurgery, where they put the little 3-inch incision on the side of your spine. It works extremely well, and it relieves a lot of the pressure on the lower spine. And you can talk to any of the chiropractors that are down at the Wellness Center, and they'll tell you about how they try to do everything possible so that you don't need surgery. But in this case, she went with it. What came after that was a period of neuropathy where we started to get this tingling that was going down the legs, almost like a sciatic kind of pressure pain. So we needed to do something very quickly. One of the things that I have found over the years, for those that have had post-surgical issues and you really need to enhance healing is the attributes of buffered vitamin C. The buffered vitamin C, the non-corn forms in a powdered effervescent form that I started my wife on. I bought her a new Yeti just yesterday. Now she has 2 Yetis. She has one drink in the morning, which is buffered vitamin C, X-Flame powder, and GI Complete, all put together in one. And then I make her, as she's drinking that one during the course of the day, I make another one for the evening. And she does that twice a day. It has been amazing when we took care of gut health and allowed the X-Flame powder to go in and reduce the inflammatory situation that was taking place at that surgical site. The buffered vitamin C to over-alkalize her system so that her body could start to heal around it. And I can see the difference in her slowly walking more and more upright over the course of time. So does it work for everybody? I would hope, but it's a very simplistic protocol that can make a world of difference. Even for those that might just have simple sciatic pain, even going to a chiropractor, you could layer something like this to just try to enhance lowering the inflammation in there to allow that adjustment that your chiropractor does to hold. One of the most frustrating things for chiropractors is when they do an adjustment on you and a week later it's not holding and they've got to do it again.
Len, cover that protocol one more time that you just did.
AM and PM, the same thing. A full scoop of buffered vitamin C to alkalize the water, X-Flame powder, full scoop, GI Complete, full scoop. Now watch when that effervesces, it's going to give some gassing off. So you're going to have to let it sit it without a top on it, or you'll build up a lot of pressure in there because the buffered vitamin C is combining oxygen out of the air. Pretty much important. Do the same morning, same thing evening, and just keep it as your standard of getting your supplements in, and it can make an amazing help in trying to solidify the body so that it can do the healing that's necessary.
I think we have a question here from the audience. Then hold on one sec. You have a question? Mm-hmm. Right. Well, these are all archived. All of these shows are archived on our channel. So you can go back and watch them anytime. Okay. But Len, one more time just on this. This was Dr. Len's wife, and she had surgery, lower back. So go ahead and just cover what happened, what she had done, and that protocol one more time.
You know, when you look at the microsurgery, which is getting to be very popular now, I know a lot of chiropractors aren't fans of it, but they're saying, come in, little 3-inch incision on either side of your spine. We're going to do some correction of the lower spine joints, and you're going to be good to go. Well, I wish that was true, but you can go in and make some corrections and solidify joints, but you're still going to have a layer of neuropathy or tingling that goes down the legs, and you can get even some pain that can radiate down the legs. So you can mobilize the pain from the middle small back down your legs, which gets to be very uncomfortable. So when we did this with her and she's in the healing mode, we used a full dose of buffered vitamin C, alkalize the water, alkalize the whole system of what you're drinking. It's going to enhance healing. Along with that, a scoop of X-Flame, which comes in a powdered form. Good tasting. Can put those two together, along with a dose of GI Complete, because we need good gut health to get the nutrients out of the food that we have to heal those joints. We did that in a Yeti that we make with some ice morning, early evening, and we drink 2 of those. What are they? 9, 10, 11, 12 ounce containers, and drink that morning and evening, or take your other supplements with it. And you give that 2, 3, 4 weeks, you can see an amazing difference in those pain levels going down, your capability of getting more upright, because it's going to help relax some of those ligaments that are in the healing mode. So anybody that's had that kind of surgery procedure or still having that, or you go to your chiropractor and he says you're not holding your adjustments, that kind of protocol can help those adjustments hold.
Great. Perfect. Okay. Now we are running out of time, Len. So just go so fast with you, buddy. I really appreciate it. Took a couple
Sorry for all the
times there.
problems here, but
Nah, technical difficulties. What are you going to do?
yeah.
But we will definitely, Dr. Len, this is available, folks, on the World of Wellness Facebook and YouTube channels. Watch it as many times as you need to. And we'll be back. Len, I will see you in a few weeks.
You got it, brother. I'll take care.
We're taking this show on the road. Dr. Len and Joe, the Godfather. It's going to be fun. We'll be bringing the education to the doctors, folks. So thank you so much, Dr. Len. Say hi to your wife. All the best to you. Stay safe in this weather down there, buddy.
You got to take care, brother.